Hey folks, it's a new week and a new topic. This week, we're going to talk about root cause analysis. Now, at its highest level, just thinking about what is root cause analysis, we're talking about digging down into a problem or an issue that you're having to understand what really is causing that issue. Okay, understanding the cause versus understanding the symptoms. So with that, let's go ahead and get into it. So root cause analysis is about changing the way you think. Anytime you're trying to solve a problem, anytime you're having issues, root cause analysis is about diving deeper than just those surface level symptoms. When you think about trying to solve problems, if all you're ever doing is addressing the symptoms and treating those, just like with your health, if all you ever do is treat symptoms and you don't address the underlying root cause, you're going to have to treat those symptoms over and over and over again. They're never going to go away if all you're doing is treating the symptom. So that's going to continue to cost you time and cost you money indefinitely until you start to understand what's happening down below. Why is this symptom happening? Not just treating the symptoms. So let's go quickly into an example. Let's talk about accounting. An important part of any business, you've got accounting that happens. And just as an example, let's say you're looking at the books at the end of every month and you see that your revenue numbers are wrong. They don't match up to what you got in your bank account, and you just don't know why that's happening. So the symptom there is the numbers are wrong. And if all you do is go in and just adjust the numbers to make them right, you're really just treating the symptom. You're not understanding how did those wrong numbers end up in my accounting software, and how did we get to the end of the month before realizing that these numbers were bad. If you don't fix that root cause, what's going to happen the next month? The numbers are going to be wrong again, and you're going to spend more time and energy having to go in and make adjustments and fix the numbers so that they are right. And every month after that, you'll continue to have to do that if all you ever do is treat the symptom. Now, one element that's important to understand here is the concept of upstream versus downstream work in a process or in a system. Anytime you're looking at an issue that you have and you want to try and dive down and understand, is there a root cause affecting you here? You're going to move upstream in the process, okay? And what that means is if your problem is on step 8 in your process, if that's where you see the symptom, in order to get to the root cause, you're going to have to move to step 7 or 6 or 5 or 4. The cause is happening before the symptom shows up. Okay. The cause never happens after the symptoms appear. A symptom can't appear until the problem happens. So anytime you're looking at, I've got this problem in my business and I see this symptom, you're going to have to start looking at what's happening upstream in your systems and in your processes to start to figure out, hey, what's really the root cause of this issue? So just keep that in mind. Upstream, if I say something happened upstream, it happened at an earlier time in the process or in the system. If I say it happened downstream, that means it happens after the point in time that we're looking at. And that's a common terminology anytime you're doing things with process or process improvement or systems thinking. Upstream versus downstream is an important concept to understand. So one of the mental models you can use to help you understand root causes and to do root cause analysis, this is one of my favorites. It's the 5 whys. Okay. The idea behind the 5 whys is anytime you have a problem, anytime you have an issue in your business, you want to ask yourself, why is this thing happening? And continue to ask yourself why, until you get to a root cause. Now, 5 is just a suggestion. It's not like a hard rule. It's not something where you always have to ask yourself why 5 times. Sometimes you'll ask yourself why 3 times and you'll get to a root cause that you can solve and you'll say, hey, this is what I'm going to fix. Sometimes you might have to go deeper and ask yourself 7 or 8 times, why is this thing happening? Why is that thing happening? Before you actually get to a root cause that you can solve. So if we go back to our accounting example and we talk about the revenue being wrong at the end of the month, instead of just, hey, let's go fix the numbers and make them right, let's ask ourselves, why is the revenue wrong at the end of the month? Now we're going to have to do some understanding, if we don't already know how exactly that accounting system works and how those numbers get there. We're going to have to do some understanding and get into the details of what is actually happening to produce these numbers at the end of the month. But if we ask ourselves why, and we do that understanding, let's just say, again, as an example, the orders that are getting pushed into the accounting system are getting pushed with the wrong values. We've identified that, hey, they're coming from our ordering system, and what our ordering system is sending isn't the right numbers. It's not sending the right values. So now we can ask ourselves why. Again, why is our order system sending us the wrong values for revenue on these orders? And again, you'll have to do some level of understanding and figure out, how does the ordering system come up with those numbers that it's going to send us? So you do that little bit of investigation and figure out what's happening in the world of the order system there. And so with that understanding, you can then answer the question, why is the order system pushing out the wrong numbers? Again, just going through an example, we could say something like the price sheet that we're using that's pushing order data isn't accounting for coupons that are used and always pushes a full retail price. We can ask ourselves, well, why does it do that? Again, and then we understand, well, the order data is getting pushed with the total retail amount, and it's not getting pushed with the actual discount amount. So now we've actually got down and we've understood a deeper problem. And guess what? If we solve that problem, we don't ever have to solve for this problem again. Next month, the order system should send the right numbers, and the numbers in our final accounting should be right without us having to do anything. So by understanding and solving that root cause, we are saving time in the future, we are saving money in the future, and creating fewer problems down the road for our business. Now, one thing I want to point out is, as you're doing that investigation and that understanding, really what you're doing is you think about systems thinking. It's inputs, process steps, and outputs that actually get something done in your business. When you're going through and doing that understanding, what you're actually doing is you're going back and you're dissecting each process step along the way. You're dissecting what inputs are coming into that process. You're looking at what outputs are coming out to try and figure out where's a problem happening, or where's there a process step that's not doing what you wanted to do? Where is an output coming out that you don't actually want or you don't like because it's not correct? So it goes back to that basic level of understanding of systems thinking. Inputs, process steps, and outputs are what make up your system. And when you're doing that root cause analysis, you're starting at the problem and then working backwards through your system to figure out where it's not working properly. And so in that example, we asked why 3 times to get to an understanding of revenue is being pushed without the discounts being applied. And again, when we talk about 5 whys, the 5 is just a reminder. It's not even really a recommendation. It's just, hey, ask yourself more than once, more than twice, why are these things happening? In this case, we asked ourselves 3 times. Now, one of the questions I get a lot is, how do I know when to stop? So let me answer that for you. The real answer is, it's a judgment call every time. Okay, you're going to have to use your thinking, your judgment to say, hey, this is a reasonable spot for me to stop and solve this problem. Now, one key there is you want to stop at a problem that you can solve. Okay, if you go why, and you start getting into problems that you can't solve, then you need to move back up until you get to a problem you can solve. So as an example for that, if you were having problems with taxes and you got to the point of the problem or the root cause that you identify is the way that the IRS builds one of its forms, you're not going to be able to solve that problem. You're not going to be able to go and get the IRS to change their forms. So you're going to have to go up a level or two until you get to a spot where you can actually solve the problem that you've identified. So that's one way to think about it, is go until you get to a problem you can't solve and then go back up a level. Another thing to think about is you will, when you do this exercise, get to problems that you don't want to solve because it's not the way you run your business, or it's not reasonable for you to solve the problem that you've identified. You can also get to problems that it would just sound silly. If it sounds silly to say, hey, I'm going to go solve this problem, it quite possibly is. And that's an indication that, hey, maybe you should move up a level and solve the problem before that. So if you think about our accounting example, if we went to why again, so we said that the numbers that were coming from the order system actually didn't have the discounts applied to them, and that's why they were wrong. If we asked ourselves, well, why does the order system work that way? We might answer that question as Greg messed up the software and he didn't implement it properly. And ask yourself why again. Well, Greg taught himself how to manage software, and when he taught himself, he missed some things. And so we start to get into the answer to the question why, that we're not going to go try and solve that. We're not going to go back and adjust how Greg self-taught himself. We're not going to maybe even talk to Greg. Greg might not even work here anymore. And so there's no benefit to trying to go back to solve that why. Again, just in this example. Now, if Greg still works here, it might be reasonable to say, hey, let's go and retrain Greg so he doesn't miss this in the future. You might want to solve that as part of this process. So that's why I say there's a lot of judgment here that you as the leader are going to have to do in order to settle on which problem are you going to try and solve, which answer to the why, where are you going to stop, and what are you going to solve? What makes sense for you, for your business, for your team, for your staff? All of that is going to come into play, and you'll make a decision that is going to be right for you and your business on where to stop and where to actually try and solve a problem. So taking this concept of root cause analysis and applying it to scaling your business, it really touches on the topics from last week, effectiveness and efficiency. Root cause analysis is about solving problems, and solving problems for good, so that you're not continuing to spend resources solving or fixing the same problems over and over again, for just treating those symptoms and not actually solving the underlying problems. So when we talk about root cause analysis and how it's going to help you scale your business, it's going to help you with the effectiveness part. Any problems that you have around effectiveness, you can solve or solve better by using root cause analysis to understand why they're actually happening. Same on the efficiency side. You can make your business more efficient by diving deeper and asking yourself why, in order to get to bigger problems to solve that you'll be able to solve for good. And that, as you scale, will mean fewer problems, fewer things scaling that you don't want to scale. And as you continue to grow, you will minimize the inefficiencies in your business and waste that you have around your different systems and your processes. On the technology side of things, there are a few things that you can do to help yourself think through this tool and use it in your business. Now, remember when I started off, I said this is really more about just a mental model. It's about a way of thinking. And from that perspective, there isn't a tool that's going to think for you. So really, in this case, what you're trying to do with technology is to remind yourself that you should be asking yourself why and going deeper on the problems that you're trying to solve. And there are a lot of different ways that you can do that, whether it's a spreadsheet program, a word processor, a notes application like OneNote or Evernote. It could be more low tech and just a Post-it note somewhere, something written on a whiteboard, something in your face to remind you that, hey, if I'm trying to solve a problem, I should go deeper than just what I see surface level. It would be good for you to think about creating a checklist and have a problem-solving process. And anytime you're faced with a big problem in your business, part of that process that you want to do is consider the 5 whys and go down that path of asking yourself, why is this happening because of X? Why is X happening because of Y? Why is Y happening because of Z? And so on. Just having that checklist and that reminder, that's going to get you in this mode of thinking to where anytime you face a problem, that's just going to be your go-to. You're going to build new behaviors so that you just think differently about solving problems. And I promise you, eventually you're not going to need that checklist. Once you get into the habit of just going through it each time, you will learn to just think differently, and you will start, even in your head, asking yourself, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? And getting down to those root causes. So if you find it helpful for you, create that checklist first. And again, it can be any technology that you already have in your business, whatever you're in a lot of the time, or it can be super low tech, like on a whiteboard or a Post-it note on your monitor or screen, anything that's going to help remind you, hey, I'm doing this new thing and I'm diving deep into why a problem is happening. And then to close us out, talking through how to apply this in people management. Anywhere you have problems, this is going to be one of your go-to tools to try and understand the deeper cause of those problems. One of the areas that it works well in the people management space is helping understand performance issues. So anytime you have an employee that's not working to your expectations, go in and use the 5 whys to understand why it is they're not performing well. And depending on what's going on, that can take you in all different kinds of directions. Maybe it's training that is the problem and you need better training. Maybe your employee's going through a rough personal patch right now and they've got some personal challenges that are impacting their work performance. Maybe they're just not good at what you have them doing and you need to think about how you have them do something else, or worst case, you need to start working them out of your business. But using the 5 whys and root cause analysis can really help you understand at a much deeper level why performance issues are happening, and then what is the appropriate solution for the problems that you're happening. You think about those problems that I just named with an employee, thinking about not having the right training, having personal problems that are impacting work performance, not passionate about work anymore, not excited for the job they're doing, can't do the job that you've assigned to them. All of those things have much different solutions. And it's only by asking yourself those deeper questions are you going to end up with the right solution. Think again, what would happen if you go in and just try and treat the symptoms? You've got an employee that's not working well and you don't dive any deeper than that. It's going to be really hard to get the right thing that's going to help that employee actually do a better job. If they're having real personal problems that are impacting their work performance and you just go try and train them more, it's probably not going to help them. And you can think through any of those problems. If you tried to solve one of them and they had any other problem, whatever you're doing is not going to be effective in actually improving their performance. So use 5 whys or other root cause analysis tools to really understand, why is this employee not performing well? That's going to do it for us today. I appreciate you tuning in. Any questions that you have on this material, anything that didn't make sense, you can go ahead and shoot me over an email at brian@optimizeforoutcomes.com or contact me on your preferred social channel, and I will be sure to get back to you. Thanks for taking the time. Remember to ask why and continue to ask yourself why till you get to a good root cause, and I will see you online.